thinking we're going to need a bigger basket. Here's your relook at the McFarlane Toys Twisted Land of Oz, Toto. The McFarlane Monsters series, Twisted Land of Oz, is a highly detailed limited edition release from McFarlane Toys based on the classic novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. It features twisted alternate interpretations of the classic characters. The Wicked Witch may have gotten her pretty. Not so sure, though, about her little dog, too. There's nothing at all little about Toto, and what's rather interesting about this release of him is that he comes also included with a munchkin that's riding on top of him. Where the rest of the munchkin is, though, I have no idea. We're going to discuss all those decrepit details in a moment. First, let's take the tape measure and see how long and how tall Toto actually is. You know, making also mention of the Wicked Witch, it's funny, though, that this entire wave did not, in fact, feature a Wicked Witch. We sure did get flying monkeys. A reminder, though, that I didn't pick up the flying monkeys. They were way too expensive. Actually, when I was doing and planning out the reviews for these, I had looked online, and again, like, the flying monkeys were going for some stupid money. Stupid money. In the meantime, though, as promised, let's take the tape measure. We're going to go to the end of its stump, and we're going to go to the front of its face. Based on that, Toto, you're looking at it in length, being about 8 inches of that. That translates, though, to being Toto, about 20 centimeters long. Then to the top, the tippy top of the munchkin's head. Toto collectively is going to be 7 inches of that, and again, it's going to work out to be about 18 centimeters tall. Toto's an abomination. I'm sorry if you can hear that with what little left he has of ears. Technically, really, I should have had him looked at right after Dorothy Gale, just because, again, like, if you're thinking of Dorothy, you tend to think of Toto, but being just with the size that he is, I figured it would probably be a little bit making more sense to kind of look at him after we've looked at all the other characters that make up the wonderful, in this case, Twisted Land of Oz. Off to the far left, of course, we got ourselves the Scarecrow. After that, of course, we got ourselves the Tin Man. And most recently, if you've had the chance to follow along all these re-reviews, thank you for that, by the way, we also looked at the Cowardly Lion, my favorites of the entire wave. I know that doesn't technically really include the Wizard. We have yet to really still look at him, but Cowardly Lion is still by far my favorite of this entire Twisted Land of Oz line. Not really a whole lot that comes included accessories for Toto. Technically, I guess you could say that the munchkin on top of his back is really his accessory. With, though, the munchkin, you can't remove it or anything like that. He's permanently attached to, again, how this really is combined together. This body, by the way, though, of Toto is made of a translucent plastic, so it gives you a chance as well to kind of see the gross insides of him with his spine, with his rib cage there as well. You can also see as well his spine. And, you know, while looking at his spine, I couldn't help but also notice, though, there are these dark kind of lines right here. I wonder if basically they've taken themselves a munchkin, forced it inside the body, as gross as that may sound, forced it inside the body, though, of Toto, and that is maybe what's left of the legs of the munchkin. So he's basically like kneeling down inside the creature. That's pretty gross. What's gross as well as, too, is the face of Toto. Now, this really only is the represented bit of articulation that the figure does have. Everything else, though, is pretty much relying on just mold and mold alone. On the bottom of, this, you can also see that he has, I guess those would be his intestines. This almost even looks like you'd be able to open this up. They probably have just put a little bit of a glue just to kind of keep things sealed. If, though, you would be able to open this up, I would imagine you'd probably be able to kind of get in there and pull out the insides, like a Tauntaun from Empire Strikes Back. It is hollow. Hello? Anybody inside there? I certainly hope, though, there's no other munchkins that we haven't yet discovered. But again, like, that's my idea, at least, is probably, again, like, he's kneeling down inside the creature, and that's how he's walking around. Either that, though, they've probably maybe just cut the torso off completely, and they've taken the stump of the munchkin. Such a gross discussion we're having right now, right? Taken just the stump of the munchkin and just plopped it on top of the beast. Going back, though, to the beast's face, Toto does have, I don't know what semblance of a dog or a canine anymore. I guess you could say that that could still be a dog nose. Pulled back are his ears. He's got a dog collar, which is kind of cool too. And he's also got these bracers that kind of keep his mouth open. So this thing is always kind of moving forward, hoping, I'm sure, that he's not going to be biting anything in front of him. That's probably one of the reasons why they put these things in his mouth, is just to ensure that the mouth doesn't chomp shut. These look like you could remove them. They are probably just pegged in place on the side and on the side here. But just such a cool looking face for Toto. His eyes are one thing I really like also, because like they start with a pretty dark bloody red, and then they add a bit of yellow on top of that as well. So there's a good bit of glowingness to the eyes themselves. Again, like his entire body is all translucent plastic. They have, though, done a nice job of going in there and brushing on a bit of paint, so it isn't just relying on the plastic alone. You can see, like on his undercarriage, for example, here, how he's got kind of a bit of a gray added in there if you get your blasted fingers out of the way. Also, he has, of course, the I guess the bridle. Is this the bridle? The strap, of course, to hold the beast back. And then you have on top of that, you got the Munchkin that's holding the straps in his hand. You can't remove them or anything like that. These straps, though, at least are made of softer plastic, so there's a little bit of give to that. I do think the head sculpt's pretty cool, though, for the Munchkin. That they've also given him a hat, and the hat is something where, like, also you can move the head back and forth, though, too, so that's kind of cool. But I like that they've given him something that almost even looks like something you'd see from, like, the ballroom scene from Labyrinth. Big, long schnoz of a nose, long, very large eyeballs as well. It's a very cool-looking hat. But the head sculpt, though, for the Munchkin is pretty interesting enough. He looks like he's a little more of an older Munchkin, whereas if we bring in the one that came included with Dorothy, for example, that looks like a more younger Munchkin. Again, I don't really even know the age of the Freddy Krueger one that he's riding as well. So what is it really about Munchkins that want to be riding things, right? What's kind of also interesting, though, about the Munchkin is if you look on the back of the head, for a second, it almost kind of looks like he's got a secondary face. I think it's actually just like he has all these extra bumps and warts and all the other fun things that go along with a decrepit-looking Munchkin like this. I think the seat's well detailed, too. Starts generally, though, with a blue plastic. They've gone in there and kind of painted some gold accents. He's got that on the back of the seat, on the side of the seat. You want to see the front as well? He's got that on the front as well. So, like, it's a really interesting character. Where Toto, unfortunately, though, suffers in the way of posability, there's nothing at all you can really do with him, short of maybe just moving his head back and forth. The rest of his body, again, is more of a hollow plastic, just to, again, contain all the things inside. Whether it'd be the case, though, that you'd be able to open this up, I haven't tried it myself. I figure, though, once I would open this up, I don't think I'd have an easier time to putting everything back. There's probably reasons why there's glue there applied, just to make sure that everything on the inside of Toto doesn't come trickling out and grossing out everybody else in the process. I thought these things smell bad on the outside. Technically, there's also posability as well for the Munchkin. The Munchkin's head does rotate back and forth. You can't really remove the arms. They're pretty staction, but you can at least turn the torso. So if you kind of start to tally everything up here for Toto, he has a head rotation, then you got to go right away to the Munchkin. The waist does rotate, and you can also turn the head as well. That's all you're really going to be getting with this creature. It certainly, though, is a gruesome looking sight, especially when you've already got the other Twisted Land of Oz characters on your shelf. Toto, obviously, if you're going to be collecting Dorothy Gale, you'd have to get yourself Toto as well. You have to share Toto, unfortunately, though, with the Munchkin that's riding on top of him. But then again, like bringing in all the other Twisted Land of Oz. The only one we have still left to see is also of course, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. I think, like, if I was just to kind of look at these and start ranking them myself, without even looking yet at the Wiz, probably I would say my favorite is still the Cowardly Lion, then Dorothy Gale, then Toto. Basically in all these order. I don't want to say like the order kind of, well, I guess it really does technically as well, because if we kind of move these all over, this would be probably the proper order of how I would rank these. Cowardly Lion, Dorothy Gale, Toto, the Tin Man, and then, unfortunately just distant last, because he just has a hard time keeping together, would be the Scarecrow. Fun looking figures. Still don't have, though, the Flying Monkeys. If I can find a listing for it low enough, maybe I might just end up picking up, and I might do a follow-up review where we can look at the Twisted Land of Oz Flying Monkeys. With the prices going with what they are going for right now, I just can't justify getting those and picking those up myself. Of course, as we've now gotten closer to the Emerald City, we will be, of course, visiting the Wizard. He's coming up next, but certainly, though, let me know if you have been collecting these down below in the comments section, or even if you haven't, what has been your favorite so far that we've looked at from the McFarlane Toys Twisted Land of Oz. Toto doesn't sell for too much online. Looking at the listings right now, expect to pay within like a $40 to $60 range to get a sealed Toto for your collection. I think he's also one of the more reasonably priced figures. He's not nearly at the market of what the Cowardly Lion would be selling for, or Dorothy Gale for that matter. Dorothy, I think, is the one that sells for the most, or of course you can always go the route of getting yourself an entire set. Now I'm looking at, again, an entire set of Twisted Land of Oz figures, about $350. That's in Canadian, granted, but that gets you the entire set. What's funny, though, is that the listings don't show the Flying Monkeys. The Flying Monkeys still seems to be something that sells separately, and they're the ones that seem to be going for the most amount of money. I do like the look of Toto. I don't know if it's one that many collectors would end up getting if they haven't already been starting to collect the Twisted Land of Oz figures. Although, to be fair though, any one of these figures really would stand on their own, well, except for maybe the exception of the Scarecrow. All would really, though, stand on their own. They don't have to necessarily be connected to a story. Though, even that being the case, each one of the figures do come included with a chapter. I don't know if I have the chapter in proper order. I would think probably that Toto would have probably come right after Dorothy Gale, then the Scarecrow, then the Tin Man, then the Cowardly Lion. Not in that order either that we looked at these figures, but certainly I can tell you, coming up in the next series of reviews for the Twisted Land of Oz, we only really have left to look at the Wizard of Oz himself. And of course, from that, I'll bid you guys a fond farewell. If you guys certainly did enjoy this video while we are in Land of Oz, why don't you do it a solid and throw it a like? Yeah, if you guys want to stick around for more so, and I certainly hope so, hit the subscribe, turn on the bell, and of course come back while we again have wrapped up things right now for a very sluggish, and I mean that literally because he just looks like one big gelatinous slug. Dragging, even if you look at the back of his legs, it looks like basically Toto just drags his body across the ground. But while we have again wrapped up the review for Toto, that the actual Wizard of Oz is just right around the corner from here. So as always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.